And welcome back. I am Terry Ann Porter, hashtag Life Coach TA. And again, I am here telling you about a subject I just so much enjoy, and that is Toastmasters. So today's topic is why Toastmasters. And I am so honored to have as my guest today the district director for Toastmasters District 22, Jerome Montgomery. Jerome, thank you so much for joining me. I am so honored and excited that you're here.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
You're in leadership now. We're going to talk about that in a little bit and what it's like to be in Toastmasters leadership. But first, I want to get started. Let's get the basics out of the way.
Okay.
Start with, hey, first of all, I've known you for a few years in Toastmasters. How long have you been in Toastmasters?
On record, it says that I've been a part of Toastmasters since July 2016. So that is coming up on 8 years.
Oh, you started in just a couple of months before I did.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, how awesome. Well, okay, July 2016. What caused you to say, you know what, I'm going to go check out this Toastmasters thing?
Great question. The reason why I decided to check out Toastmasters is because I had a career shift. And in my previous role, I was working remote, and my only communication with the outside world would be either through emails or through instant chat. And so when I switched career paths, I was actually back in the office and needed to interact with different people on a face-to-face basis. And that was a skill set that I didn't know that you could possibly lose, but I did. And I was in the elevator at the company I was at, and I saw a flyer for Toastmasters, and it said on there, it can help you with your communication. I visited the club, and the rest is history.
Oh, how awesome. A flyer in an elevator. Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
That is great. Well, it's been now nearly 8 years. Why are
Mhm.
you still here? You can obviously communicate now.
Yes, I have accomplished the ability to re-engage with humans, if you will, on a face-to-face basis. And the second component about Toastmasters is it also helps you develop your leadership capacity. So while I was enhancing my communication skills, or rather relearning my communication skills, I also took interest in the leadership path because I wanted to advance my career further and move up into management. And there were certain skill sets that I found within Toastmasters that allowed me to do that. And it got recognized by the companies that I work for that, oh, you've done this role in Toastmasters, that role translates over to what we do here. And it helped my career advance.
Oh, how wonderful.
Thank
So
you.
your management knew about Toastmasters.
They sure did.
Oh, how wonderful. And now you have worked through different leadership roles, and you are
Hmm.
now district director.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Oh, well, we don't have all day here, but what I can summarize the district director role is being essentially like the CEO of a company. And they are the face and the voice for, in this case, we'll talk about Toastmasters. I'm the face and the voice for District 22. And what I found in this role is, I'll come back, I had a thought because I've learned so many different things in each role, but I will share what I've learned in district director. The role as the district director or a CEO or a person that's overseeing an organization is to lead with a vision and then empower the people that are within the organization to leverage their skill sets so that the whole organization is a success.
I love that description. I love that.
Thank
Now,
you.
you mentioned that you had other roles and you kind of had an idea. Go ahead and step back to those.
Yes. In the district director role, it's a part of a team. So it's not just Jerome making decisions for the entire district. We have what we call a district trio, which consists of the program quality director, the club growth director, And we also have some other district leaders, such as a PR manager and a administrative manager and a finance manager. I've had the opportunity to serve in the program quality director role as well as the club growth director role. And each instance of those leadership roles or seasons rather, I learned something different. In one space, I learned to delegate more and not to rely on my own resources. In another role, I learned how to engage people and inspire people and encourage people to step up and leverage their skill sets and their strengths in order to get the job accomplished.
Nice. So it's kind of you're not just thrown into it and say, here, you know it all. You kind of learn different steps along the way. There's roles along the way as you to grow.
Yes. And the best part about it is, to your point, you're not doing these roles by yourself. You have the support of those that have come before you that have fulfilled those roles, as well as there's different training opportunities where in the fall they call it district leadership training. You get, now that things have opened back up, get to travel to different parts of the globe because Toastmasters is an international organization,
Mhm.
and meet people from all spaces of the globe, different countries, different languages, and you get a chance to hear their experiences and learn from them, as well as share some of the experiences of your own.
Nice, nice. I like that. That is one thing that I do like about Toastmasters is the leadership training. Yes, there's the public speaking, and that's what Toastmasters is most known for. But the
Hmm.
leadership training, it starts even in the clubs.
Yes, yes, it does. And in the
What roles in
club
the club
role,
have you had?
oh, you must have read my mind. I've actually been able to fulfill all of the officer roles that are within the club level, such as secretary, sergeant at arms, VP of membership, VP of PR, a VP of education, and president. And in each of those
That is
roles, and treasurer. I from the treasurer was the first role that I had actually. And each of those roles are unique in their own site because, for example, the treasurer, that's where I got to learn how to do a budget on an organizational level. Secretary helped with my organization skills, taking notes. The president was a small taste of what district directors like. And some of the other roles, just being able to be knowledgeable about pathways and helping members and new prospects join and make sure that they're in the club for the right reasons.
nice. Now, you just mentioned pathways. Can you give me an explanation of what
Yes,
pathways is?
absolutely. Pathways is Toastmasters learning platform, and it's more so of a framework to help organize people on their communication improvement journey. And they have several different themes, if you will. For example, I wanted to, in my career path, advance my leadership. So they had a pathways program called Dynamic Leadership. And I said, hey, that has Jerome written all over it. And they have in the path, they have different projects that you can complete, some speaking, some organizing, some collaborating with
Mhm.
others, which helps further develop the communication and the leadership component on a structured basis or having some sort of structure to it. And there's also resources available through Pathways, which helps give tips and tricks such as how to deliver a presentation, how to deliver a keynote. And by doing that, once you make it through Pathways, there are a few other leadership components. You've done the education, and there's some other leadership elements to it, but then you can hit the top of the reason why some people join is to accomplish the esteemed title of distinguished Toastmaster.
I'm almost there. I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
I will tell you firsthand that it feels so good once you've crossed that finish line.
Yeah, that's and I do like that there is so much that you can learn. In what I really like, you're going to learn something different than I'm going to learn.
Yep.
Because our projects become so personal. It's
Mhm.
not a do this, this, this. It's here's the project, and we get to form it to meet our needs.
Yep.
So I can apply what I'm doing to my growth, and you can apply what you're doing to your growth. We're working from the same program, and each grow in our own pace, our own desires. I think it's really a great thing about pathways.
Absolutely. Plus, some of the things that might seem as common sense, Pathways has a tendency to dive a little bit more into it. For example, different communication styles. We all have our
Mm-hmm.
various way. We all have our preferred method of being communicated with and communicating to others, but then also being knowledgeable about communicating with others in their preferred communication style. And so that
I've
level of
mhm.
uniqueness was certainly stood out to me.
I've spoken on that several different times. I've done that project several times, which is really neat. Another thing is you don't just do it once and done, so that you can, once you learn, now try it again. Anyway, I've done it a few times, and each time I learn something new. And you would think if I've done it 3 times, I've done 3 same speeches, and none of them are alike because of what
Right.
I've learned in the process.
Hmm.
I like the learning development of all of it. Is there maybe one story or achievement you've had that just really stands out that you just celebrate as part of Toastmasters?
Yes, I would say that before I get into this story, one more element that I appreciate about Toastmasters is the fact that we do get feedback, and we get feedback almost
Absolutely.
immediately. And I preface my story with that that bit right there because I've never competed in a speech contest, primarily because I was in leadership, but we had the opportunity to compete in a humorous speaking contest. And in previous speeches, I would get feedback along the lines of, Jerome, you're talking too fast. Jerome, you seem like you're not composed. Sometimes your story doesn't align necessarily with your personality. And I've gathered and computed all that feedback. And I said, you know what? I'm going to come clean. So I gave a humorous speech, and the speech was one of the most weightlifting experiences I've ever encountered. And it was one
Oh,
of which I was talking about my propensity to start sweating profusely when I'm up in front of an audience and where that stemmed from. And I was just able to use my personality and let my personality really just radiate and fill the room. And it happened that that whole speech, I started to sweat like towards the very end. So as I was telling the story, I'm like, Buddy, like, what are you doing? I'm talking about an issue that I have. You're not doing it like you normally do. So I ended it with sharing that at the end of the day, bringing things that you may be uncomfortable with to light may alleviate that issue that you're having, but also give others the freedom to be themselves, be their authentic selves, and not hide any of the things that they may be shy about.
oh, I love it. I love that. Oh, fun. You mentioned feedback. How does feedback work in Toastmasters?
Feedback works if you have a prepared speech, then using one of the projects and pathways, then you can ask for an evaluator in your Toastmasters club. Or if you're going to give a speech at an event and you know some Toastmasters that are in the local area or vicinity, you can ask them to give an evaluation of your talk afterwards, of course, not during. Where there is actually a path in there, or project in there where you ask for a heckler, and just to learn how to manage that. But on the topic of feedback, after the talk is done, the evaluator has an opportunity to make some notes, and they will typically share, "Hey, this is what you did really well. here's some areas for improvement, and these are some of the things I would like for you to challenge yourself to do in your next talking point. And with that, I was able to gather all that feedback and make note of what I was seeing on a more consistent basis. So if someone that was saying, Jerome, you're using way too many filler words. Stop using the word Note, Jerome, you're using different filler words instead of now, but how about this? Use a pause instead so that you can collect your thoughts and then continue with your story. Oftentimes I would hear that some of my talks were not organized, so it was hard to follow, and not everyone got the overall message. With that feedback, I was able to take that away and think about it. And every time I talk now and going forward, I haven't perfected it by any means. Someone watching this may have caught a few filler words already, but it's just about the progression of getting better a little bit every day. So that's my take on feedback. And within Toastmasters, I love it so much because it's almost immediate and it's done in a constructive way so that you're not breaking someone down, but rather you're building them up.
I can honestly say, having watched you give a number of speeches, that I have enjoyed watching your progression and your improvement. And that is something I love about Toastmasters myself, is that when you can see people grow, be part of their growth, and you can watch the growth and just seeing it, being part of it, and knowing that you yourself are experiencing the same thing is very encouraging.
Absolutely. It is such a joy to see others progress, especially because we've seen when they first joined Toastmasters. And another quick story for me, and we can see how they progress. Table topics, which is the impromptu section of a Toastmasters meeting, is 1 to 2 minutes of sharing on a subject or a question that you're asked. When I did my first table topics, that was, and still is today, the longest minute of my life. And I was talking, I was starting to ramble, and I was looking at the timer, and they're like, "You're only 15 seconds in." I'm like, "Oh my goodness, I'm out of words." But yes, just seeing that progression and that confidence build, not only within myself, but within others, is truly a hidden gem of Toastmasters.
And that's the thing, table topics. Oh, that's of no value. I already know how to public speak, so I don't need this. So how about the table topics part? How about that? You just run into the boss in the in the elevator, or that walking in, like you said, just starting to talk to people. Table topics is great for developing the confidence in that.
Yes, it certainly is.
End up with some funny stories.
Oh, absolutely. Some of the stories that I've heard on table topics just, floored me because it was done in such an immaculate way. And again, it's only in a 1 to 2 minute setting. So for some people to be able to paint an elaborate picture, it's inspiring for me, at least, to continue to develop my communication skills. And table topics is also one of those good ways to practice just casual dialogue. If you're going to a family function or an event and you run into an old buddy, you're able to have good dialogue in such a short period of time.
It makes such a big difference. It really does. If you had one final thing that you wanted to tell somebody about Toastmasters, what would it be?
One final thing I would add about Toastmasters is that go ahead and visit a club. You don't have to necessarily join, but just to visit and see what Toastmasters is all about. As I mentioned and we shared earlier, Toastmasters is an international organization, which means they're global, and they have clubs all over the world. And in this virtual space, you can actually visit some other countries without having to book a flight or charter a boat or something to that effect. So if you visit a club and it's not exactly for you at the moment, then you can also visit virtually and find your Toastmasters home.
Absolutely. I love that. That kind of reminds me, one advantage I do find about now traveling to other areas and joining Toastmasters clubs in areas I would not have been to before, meeting the different cultures.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that that's improving my listening skills because with the different accents that people have around the world, I've got to listen very carefully to hear what they're saying. And that has improved my listening skills.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to listen more careful now. Well, I am so excited. I want to thank you so much for joining me. It has been a pleasure and an honor to speak with you. If you have any questions about Toastmasters, check out toastmasters.org, and you can find all kinds of information there. So thank you very much, Jerome. Thank you all for watching. And I can't wait to share some more of my Toastmasters friends with you in the near future.
Thank you,
Bye.
Terry Ann.